Welcome to the Mount Pleasant Podcast, featuring discussions and interviews about the people, places, and events that make Mount Pleasant such a special place.
This is the Mount Pleasant Podcast. I'm your host, Brian Cleary, and all thanks to the great people of Mount Pleasant Magazine, I get the honor, the privilege of introducing you to Mount Pleasant, the people who make it such a special place to do business, to work, and even to live. We're introducing you to Mount Pleasant's best on the Mount Pleasant Podcast. On the Mount Pleasant Podcast, we try to examine things in Mount Pleasant and the surrounding area. We're looking at the businesses, the people, most importantly, that make Mount Pleasant and this area east of the Cooper a great place to live. And today on Mount Pleasant Podcast, we're joined by one of those people. Imagine some of the things that you take for granted that may be taken away from you. You know, you get up every day, you jump in your car to go to work, or you take your car to go shopping. What if you didn't have a car? An issue that, no, it's incomprehensible. Everybody has a car these days. No, that's not the case. But there is one man in the Low Country who is working to make that happen. And that's what we're talking about today on the Mount Pleasant Podcast. Our guest is Eliot Middleton. Eliot is the president. He's also the founder of the Village to Village Foundation. Eliot, what was it that made you decide that this is what you wanted to do, that as one man, one person, that you could make a difference?
Yes, sir. Well, it all started back in about 2019 up in the small town of Andrews, South Carolina. We were holding a food drive out there, trying to help some folks get some Thanksgiving groceries and everything. And we served right at about 325 individuals, or we served 325 boxes to these individuals. But that small town held so many people, and the amount of folks that were walking to try to get to the location that we were donating the food from, I just felt compelled after walking down the line and apologizing to them and let them know, like, we're out of food, and just trying to check and see, like, hey, did you hear about the donations earlier, or tell me what happened, why you probably couldn't make it here on time. And a lot of folks just said, hey, you know, we had to walk a few miles into town to be able to participate into this because there's no public transportation, there's no Ubers or taxis out there. And if you don't have a neighbor that has a vehicle, preferably a pickup truck or a minivan, you're just not going to be able to allow yourself to get that ride into town to be able to, possibly be able to receive these benefits. So with that being said, and me being a mechanic for over 17 years and recently got out of that to join the food and beverage side of things, I just felt that because of my skills and just knowing exactly how to repair cars and everything, I felt that I would rekindle that and do it in a different manner instead of repairing cars for the public, just trying to repair cars for the folks who are in need. And doing that by cars being donated, unwanted cars sitting in yards, and donating them to us and taking our time fixing them and donating them to the folks in need.
I love the fact that in your mission statement, you talk about how you saw the need in a rural pocket, often forgot about communities. And then our mission is to provide reliable transportation to individuals with a need in rural South Carolina. You yourself in Ondaw. So where is it that you get the vehicles that you're then able to repair and donate to individuals in need?
Well, when we started off, our first donation came out of my hometown of Clintonville, South Carolina. Actually, the Facebook post went out in the first part of January of 2020 and just offered folks like, hey, let's swap out a few slabs of ribs for your unwanted car that's just sitting in your yard. And I had some folks out in Clintonville that took me up on that offer. The first car I donated was a 97 Toyota Camry. And we got that car, and it needed some body work. It cranked up and ran fine. It needed some minor body work due to a small accident that I was into. And just visiting the local salvage yards, was able to get that car back up and going. And about 7 months later, was our first donation up in August or September of 2020. And things have been taking off ever since.
For someone who's wondering about the impact that you've had, and you have had a big impact, can you give me an idea of the number of vehicles that you've actually given to people?
Well, year to date, we're actually on car donation number 87. We've completed a few cars and everything over the holidays. We are now looking to do at least 6 cars here within the next 2 weeks. So the goal is to try to be able to hit that goal of 100 cars donated before the end of February. And that goal is not far-fetched. We're close to getting things done. It's just a difficult task sometimes when we're checking out the cars, doing a 50-point inspection, figuring out exactly what the cars need, and then we have to go through the process of repairing them safely and also finding the correct recipients for that vehicle.
The last two holiday seasons, the Village to Village Foundation has done the 12 days, the 12 cars of Christmas. That has to be just an amazing feeling. And can you explain because not all of us get to have that feeling, but particularly around the holidays, when you're able to share that vehicle, so many times it's a surprise. These people don't realize they're getting a car. Can you talk about that moment and what that feels like for that person, but what it feels like for you and the foundation as well?
Well, when we first started the foundation back in 2020, we had roughly about 7 cars around the holiday season. And we were like, I said, these cars are close to ready. It's getting ready to be around the 12 days of Christmas. And that carol always stuck with me as a younger kid. So I was like, hey, we got 7. Let's try to donate these 7 cars. And we were able to do 5 that first 2020 Christmas. But the feeling from just that, it was almost like playing Santa. Like we were on, at that time we had one, my towing vehicle was a 2002 Toyota Sequoia, and it was pulling the 1-car trailer. So when I closed up the restaurant that Christmas Eve, I started towing cars immediately right then. So the first donation went out to like Walterboro's. This was like at 10:30 that night. And then I got back to the restaurant and picked up another car. Then we went out to Browns Ferry, which is the other side of Georgetown, delivered that car like at 1:30 that morning. Came back to the restaurant, picked up another car, delivered another car out in Hanahan around about 4:30 that morning. And the last 2 cars were close by. One was in McClellinsville, and the other one was on the outskirts of Georgetown. And being able to do those cars, and the last car, it was right at about 8:30, 9 o'clock that morning. And just a surprise feeling on everybody, just knowing like, where did that car come from? Or how did this car wind up in my yard? And whose car is this? And the folks that actually nominated those folks to be able to let them know, like, hey, that car in your yard, that car is, a gift from Middleton Village Foundation. And that moment during that Christmas holiday, it was a feeling beyond out of this world. I still can't really give anybody an explanation of how the way that feels. And that's what just inspired me to also keep doing those 12 days of Christmas, every holiday season. And hopefully with, further growth of the foundation, hopefully we can go more than 12 cars. Maybe we may be able to do 24 cars for the, 24 days in December. It's just the out of this world feeling. I mean, there's nothing absolutely that I've ever experienced or that I've ever heard of anybody saying that they had a great feeling that matches to that feeling of somebody knowing that they're going to have a vehicle to get back and forth and them being totally surprised about it.
Podcasting has exploded in popularity, especially local podcasts. As of 2022, 62% of Americans have listened to a podcast. 38% have listened in the last month. 26% in the last week. The podcasting audience is booming with no signs of slowing down. Call the podcast hotline to be featured on these podcasts or to receive information about podcast marketing. Call 843-530-0403 or visit carolinapodcasts.com.
You're listening to the Mount Pleasant Podcast.
This is where the pages of Mount Pleasant Magazine come alive. It's the Mount Pleasant Podcast with me, Brian Cleary, and we're talking about people in Mount Pleasant and this area east of the Cooper that make a difference. And one of them is the president, the founder of the Middleton Village to Village Foundation. Eliot Middleton joins us today. Now, Eliot, how is it that someone nominates or provides you the information so that you know that this particular person is in need of a vehicle?
Well, a vehicle is something that is very, very important in the lifestyles of folks, being able to operate their everyday necessities to be completed. And also we know that, sometimes vehicles, when you hear about a free vehicle, you hear about these things on The Price is Right or game shows and something like that. This is a much more, deeper experience. I mean, we want to get to the folks that are definitely, like, for example, I mean, you have the internet services, which is becoming a big thing in Congress right now about the rural pocket areas being able to receive like internet services. We look basically for the folks that maybe don't have internet access to not even know that there's an organization out there that exists to be able to offer them cars. Some folks just do not even know this information because they're not fully equipped with the internet. That's why different things like what we're doing now with the podcasts and the news outlets, this gets the information to folks to know about a car. But mainly the first steps that we would like to always go through is word of mouth from community leaders, such as I'm friends with multiple mayors in the Low Country area. being able to speak with them, and maybe they may have someone that they know through their organization or through their working days that knows a family, or either, police departments is also a big help as well too, because they know families that are struggling or in need. Coaches at high schools and in elementary schools, knowing that there may be a kid that's very, very well talented in sports, but can't participate because the parents are, not adequate with a vehicle. They're either catching rides themselves to get back and forth to work, or using the transit bus services, if that's even available. And then also we have a pretty simple form on our website that you can go through, and you can apply online. Currently, from the 2021 October to 2022 October, we had over 319 applicants that submitted applications. Currently, out of that 319, we were able to analyze and go through and do the research, and we have 86 qualified individuals. That's the most numbers that we've had qualified since the beginning of the foundation. And out of that 86, we have about 17 that's satisfied. So we're still trying to get all of those applications and everything satisfied between now and July 1st. So we do have a whole lot of work to go through. We're, like I said, we're on track to try to get to 100 cars by the end of February. And of course, like I said, word of mouth, or even just a visit here at a restaurant to be able to speak with me, and they nominate someone that, particularly going through a situation.
So with 86, let's just use that number. There's 86 people out there. You're going to deliver for 86 different people. What is it that you could need? Someone's watching this, listening to our podcast. Obviously, the Village to Village Foundation's doing some amazing work, but what could I do? What could someone listening do to help you in that venture to get these cars out to these people?
Well, one thing I would like everybody to know as well too, this is something that I do because it's the total feeling and the total love that I get from this is what I receive from this. It's more of a passion, it's more of a love, because my late father, I've been around him since he was 4 years old, and we've had vehicles repaired at our house. When I remember being younger, my dad would help folks repair their vehicles, and then later on in life, we obtained a shop in North Charleston, and working in that shop for over 11 years, serving the North Charleston area, and just experiencing different people. But all of these cars that we've done, all up to the current number that we're at now, we don't have a mechanic facility. All of these cars are done in my backyard. I mean, it's as blunt and as straight up as it gets. We are working on a facility to try to be able to build a facility here locally, and not only to be able to repair cars, but to be able to teach like young drivers and adults that may not know the basic necessities of a car, or just to know car language. So like when you do have a repair problem, or you do have an issue with a car, you can know how to go into a dealership or know how to go into a repair facility and speak what you're actually having a problem with. So many folks are taking advantage of it because they don't know exactly what's going on with their vehicle. But it's best to kind of have some type of general knowledge of what's going on. With future things as well too, we received a lot of cars for donations. A lot of cars are able to be placed back on the road with minor repairs. A lot of cars need major repairs, but the bodies are in great shape. And a lot of cars are just used for parts. So it's a huge recycling in circulation of cars and everything. So nevertheless, don't think that a car that you may have sitting in your yard for 10 years is not valuable to the foundation. We actually do a lot of mix and match with parts. Like, you have cars that range in the same parts and everything from 5 or 6 years. So your car that's wrecked or your car that has a bad engine, definitely donations are always needed upon the car receiving. Also, monetary donations have been very, very well with folks helping out with gift cards from parts stores, and then also just offering their help to come in and change parts and things like that. So it's real huge on those things. However, huge announcement for us coming up here soon, because of the fact that it takes money to fix these vehicles, and it takes money to be able to purchase items and everything to repair these vehicles. We've since I started my restaurant here in Middleton and Makerville Barbecue, some of the funds have been coming from that portion of the restaurant to be able to fund the foundation. Well, secondary, what we're trying to do now, to be launched here in April, is a mobile barbecue outfit for the foundation. And what that does is we will go into neighborhoods. We will feed everyone free barbecue in that neighborhood. And I know that sounds crazy, but it will be free pulled pork for everyone. In return of that, let's just say we're on Isle of Palms and we're, having this huge barbecue, and it's jump castles for the kids, it's community leaders or speakers talking about different things that's going on in the community, and folks get to eat barbecue. At the same time, we have cars that are being donated. Now, in return of that, within 4 to 5 months of the cars that have been donated, we'll go through those cars and then we come right back to the Isle of Palms and we have another event like that. But we let the Isle of Palms natives and the community members figure out who is in need of those vehicles in that community. And they may say, well, we have 1 or 2, but we have a total of 11 cars that we donated. They may want to nominate another community to have those cars donated to. And all of this does is not only helps the foundation, but it helps get what we need back in America, and that's community togetherness. It brings them around, and what better way to have music and food to bring the community around. So we look to launch that out in April. Don't want to give too much on it right now, but I do have a meeting with 2 of the major mayors locally here in the Charleston and Mount Pleasant area. And once we have that meeting and we launch this off, it's just something that I look to be able to build the foundation upon that. And in return of that, the other items that are sold on the mobile unit, we will take 100% of those proceeds and be able to filter back into the foundation so that we can continue buying tires and buying brake pads and spark plugs and oils and all that stuff that's needed to keep repairing the vehicles so that they can continue on and we can continue doing it.
It really takes the village to village part of the Middleton Village to Village Foundation to heart, thinking about doing it that way. That's exciting news. We're talking with Eliot Middleton today on the Mount Pleasant podcast. This is where the pages of Mount Pleasant Magazine come alive as we introduce you to people in our community making a difference. And Eliot certainly is doing that. I'm Brian Cleary. Eliot, somebody listening in may think, wow, Eliot he can do this. He must be rolling in dough and stuff. And that's not the case. So you talk about the restaurant. Let's go for a plug here. Talk about the food and your restaurant and what that is and how people can just get some great barbecue from you as well.
Yes, sir. Well, like I said, again, mechanic of 17 years, got out of it around the 2016 era. And my family has been in barbecue since the late 1800s. Matter of fact, the vinegar pepper-based barbecue sauce that we actually baste the meat with and do everything in the process of cooking, that's way further history back than that. Actually, my great-great-grandmother had the written literature from a gentleman who was doing barbecue way back in the mid-1800s. So we actually have on a brown small piece of paper that my now living aunt, she will not let me touch that paper. I have to ask permission just to view it in the glass that's there. But just from that and having that barbecue sauce for so long, and my uncle, Mr. Larry Gibbs, being able to do that as well too before he passed away, I just wanted to continue that family tradition of having the barbecue out there. And one thing led from just being a small mobile truck and doing barbecue, and just went into an opportunity of being able to obtain a restaurant here in Orlando. It's been a great experience to be able to cook in bulk and be able to serve the folks fresh barbecue, fresh grilled ribs. Also, we have included here is the fried ribs. That's a very, very big popular seller. And of course, all of your southern sides like your red rice and your mac and cheese, your green beans, and also your fried chicken. And we have a lot of different other items and things you can choose from here. And also at our restaurant here at 5105 US Highway 17 in Orlando, it's more of a outside family reunion type effect when you get here. We don't have a large dining area. We honestly probably can only seat about 10 people comfortably. But we have a huge outside pavilion that we can probably seat up to 150 folks very comfortably. We have different events and everything out here. And when it's nice weather out, you really have an experience like if you're on your front porch in the low country sipping on a nice cold glass of iced tea. It's relaxing. We have music nights sometimes, and it's just a nice way to just enjoy family. Huge yard space, pet friendly. If you ever want to bring your pets out and throw frisbees or anything like that, it's just a nice, relaxed backyard feeling.
So you are the CEO and the president of the Middleton Village to Village Foundation. This was your dream, but I know, Eliot, you're not doing this alone. You've got a team. Can you tell us a little bit about that team that supports you?
Sure. So when we first started off, we had only one mechanic that was helping. And of course, that one mechanic turned into a few more. And then after, of course, it's in the middle of COVID, so jobs and stuff regained themselves. And then that mechanic base turned back down to just that one person. And then, of course, sometimes it was just me, and then it goes back to that one person. So we've been having mechanics ups and downs, but the mechanic help has been great. We also have my sister that helped start off with the foundation, is helping get things organized. Desiree Middleton, she's helped tremendously on the beginning parts of it. We've also had, with the beginning of the transporting, lining up vehicles to be towed and hauled and all that stuff, we've had Miss Heather Jackson. She was helping out with so much logistics and making sure that when I'm off to tow these cars from either Georgia, North Carolina, Florida, different parts of South Carolina, all the way up to actually Washington, D.C., she made sure that the directions were correct. She made sure that the phone calls and everything was made prior to the time of me going up there, which has been a tremendous help. My ASC certified mechanic friend, Maurice Green, has helped with a lot of heavy diagnostic as far as vehicles that's even stumping me. I can call him and he can definitely give me a hand and let me know exactly what's going on away from his job. And a slew of other folks. And then also my girlfriend, Natalie DeLine, she's been helping out with a whole lot of the paperwork and the logistics as far as making sure that the donation process is going well. Still continue on with a slew of other people from news media. I also mentioned local mayors definitely have put their hands into making sure that things are, getting the word out, and just the whole Low Country. I mean, just to put it in the whole nutshell, the entire Low Country has been a part of making sure that this foundation continues, making sure that the word is spread. And it's just a countless amount of people that I just can't thank enough for helping and continuing to strive in this dream that I seen, for them believing in just me. And not only that, the countless donors, the donations from start to current has been out of this world. I mean, even when things, beginning to go viral, we received, donations and blessings and just words of encouragement from as far as Singapore. So it's all over the world that we've been receiving, information and encouraging words. And I want to thank everybody for that.
This dream of yours started with you giving one vehicle. Now you're coming up on your 100th vehicle. What's your ultimate goal in terms of what you can accomplish with the Middleton Village to Village Foundation?
Ultimate goals, that's something that I wake up, and it changes every day that I wake up with how far this thing can go. And I really just made up in my mind about a few months ago, and actually shared it with my friends on social media, that this is such a life-changing experience. This is exactly what I want to do for the rest of my life. So I don't really see any stopping in this foundation at all. I see it growing tremendously. I see it getting to the point to where we're in all 50 states, hopefully. I just want to see it continue growing, being able to help the small pocket rural areas that is so often forgotten about. And just not only that, there's folks in city limits that are definitely, have been donated vehicles and everything as well too. But I always related to Hurricane Hugo, because folks in this area knows about the experiences of Hurricane Hugo. And back then I was 6 years old when that happened. And I lived in McClellanville, and we stayed right there in McClellanville. And folks on Isle Palms and downtown Charleston and Mount Pleasant know firsthand how bad that storm was, with the eye of the storm coming right over Bulls Bay. And of course, we know that the northeastern quadrant is the worst part of that storm. So what I just remember as a younger kid is that I saw a lot of aid being given to the direct city, which is 100% fine. Everybody needs aid. But the McClellanville area, and you talk about the other small areas, you got McClellanville, you got Tidwin, you got Buck Hall area, all these small areas that nobody pays attention to until it's 2 weeks down the road. Like, oh, we forgot about this town right here, and they have folks living there. To bring awareness to all of those small pocket towns, the same time a natural disaster happens, I think it needs to be addressed right then to try to get to all those small towns. And of course, you have roads that are blocked. You have all these different things that are blocked, but you must pay attention to those folks, because they're living the same way that we are. And that that's why I focus so hard on the rural pocket areas, because it's always like you get the back of the spoon, as they say. And we just want to be noticed as well too. And those folks need help. I mean, a car can change the whole generational development of a family. I mean, you think about somebody being very talented who can possibly build airplanes. Well, they can't get to Boeing to even fill out an application if they can't get out of those small pocket areas. But with a reliable car, they can get the opportunity to get the trial tech, to take the classes, to apply for that job. And then right then, that moment, it changes the entire trajectory of that generation part of that family, because they don't have to stay into that pocket area and work at the local gas station, or to work at the local Dollar General, or to take a farmhand job, or, whatever the main things that are there. There's so many more opportunities just 40 or 50 miles down the road. And that's another reason why the cars are very, very important. There's so much talent out there. We just have to get those talents around, and people seeing exactly what's going on.
One vehicle can change one family, and one man is making a difference here in the Low Country. Eliot Middleton from the Middleton Village to Village Foundation. Eliot, if someone wants to get more information about the organization, is the best way social media, your website? Tell us how people can get in touch with you.
Yes, sir. So we have a direct telephone number that you can call and ask any questions that you have. That telephone number is 843-240-8742. Normally, if you leave a message on that phone, if we don't get right to it, we'll be able to respond back to you within 24 hours. Also, we have a website that's at www.middletonsvillage2village.org. You can go there and you can find out information as well too. You can also see when the application form is updated and reopened if you need to make an application or apply for one. We also have information on there for the newsletter that you would also be able to view and see different parts of car donations. So if you want to get an experience, and you want to get a feeling to see exactly why we push so hard to continue this, you watch a couple of those videos, and if it doesn't take you by storm, then we may have to put a defibrillator on you to get you back going on, because I'm telling you, man, it's a feeling out of this world, and it just makes you feel, I don't know, I just wish the whole Low Country can be there. And, one day, hopefully we can do it live on a television or on a podcast or radio, just for you to be able to experience that. It will change your whole outlook on everything. And also, we do have a Facebook page, Middleton's Village to Village Foundation on Facebook. You will find a lot of our interactions and everything there, as far as the folks that are donating cars, and also when we actually donate the vehicles to individuals. You will find live video there as well too. Most of the time you speak to me directly if I'm available. Like I said, it's a whole lot goes on between the operation of the restaurant Wednesday through Sunday, and then also there's roughly 2 days that I operate the foundation on Monday and Tuesday as far as hands-on. But there's a slew of people, like I said, that works 7 days a week. As far as I have a friend up in McCormick, South Carolina too. If there's a vehicle that's in the Greenville, Spartanburg, Columbia, Atlanta, Georgia, Charlotte area, he's the go-to guy. I give him a call. He picks the cars up quickly. And it's just a slew of people from all over the tri-states that helps this out.
I don't know how you even found time to get this interview in, but we're very glad you did. And I think what you're saying is kind of that you've had that feeling. Doing good, helping people out, that makes you feel good.
Oh, yeah. There is, and like I said again, I have not yet found a feeling on this earth that compares to it. It's not about anything, no financial, nothing, none of that matters. It's the feeling of in your heart when some of these situations, you look it up. I'll tell you about one small situation up in Chester, South Carolina. This gentleman, very nice guy, up in his mid-60s, him and his wife, they just retired, enjoying the grandchildren and everything. So one day the wife decides, I'm going to run up to Walmart and get some snacks for the kids. She was being a good Samaritan, saw these folks on the side of the road, broke down. She pulled to the side of the road in her minivan, offered them a warm place to be inside the vehicle until the help came. And they, did something very tragic and, took her life. And, the husband was just, crushed. This is a van that they just purchased after retirement. This is a van they're going to drive their kids, their grandkids around and enjoy vacationing and everything. And of course, nobody wants to have a vehicle after, that happened to that vehicle.
Sure.
besides all that, he couldn't receive the vehicle back anyway because the sheriff's department had it for investigation. So he's without a vehicle. You're going on without a vehicle, 6 months, you lost your wife. Just a tragic situation. We felt compelled to drive to Chester, South Carolina, and surprise that gentleman. And to this day, that is the most touching and the most out of this world experience. Just all the emotions that was going on, knowing that we were able to help him through the foundation, was able to help him, cope with the situation, but then just actually feeling like you're in his shoes, experiencing that, and just thinking that was, you in that position. I mean, it was devastating, but then at the same time, it was so heartfelt that we were able to help that guy just feel a little bit better, even if it was just a little bit. He just knew that he could now drive. I mean, just imagine that happening in just one day, and you just don't, it's 6-7 months down the road, you don't know what you're going to do. So that was just an experience that I say, I don't want it to be that all the time, but just actually having a reason to be able to donate to folks like that. There's nothing I can compare to. And I've been around some very exciting situations, and that's just nothing compares to that. So that's my, addiction to this foundation, to be able to continue doing these things. I mean, I hope we get up to 1,000 cars. I hope we get to 2,000 cars. So I just want to keep doing it.
It's an addiction, and that's a great addiction to have. And it's a feeling that you can get. Maybe you'll step up and in some way you can help out the Middleton Village to Village Foundation. Eliot Middleton is somebody here east of the Cooper in the Low Country community that's making a difference. And we're happy to highlight him today on Mount Pleasant Podcast. I'm Brian Cleary. Eliot, thanks so much for your time, and thanks very much for all you do.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me today.
Thanks for spending your time with the Mount Pleasant Podcast, your community, your podcast. Listen to past and future episodes at mountpleasantpodcast.com.